What if I told you that there was a man who lived in Russia and had the ability to see ghosts? What if I told you that this man had been imprisoned for life for murdering around 150 persons? What if I told you he was able to escape from prison, but only because of the help of an angel? And what if I told you that this man was still at large today, living in Russia? It's a story with a lot of twists and turns. Well, I'm going to tell you all of these things, but first, let's go back in time to 1966. Anatoly Moskvin is a young boy living with his loving parents in Russia in the city of Gorky in Soviet Russia, which is now known as Nizhny Novgorod. He was a quiet and solitary child, and his parents described him as a bit of an oddball. He was fascinated with death and the occult from an early age and spent much of his time reading books on the subject. As he grew older, his interest in death became an obsession, and he started visiting cemeteries and taking pictures of graves. As a schoolboy, Moskvin began wandering through cemeteries with friends, particularly the Krasnaya Cemetery in the city's Leninsky district. In an article written shortly before his arrest, he attributed his interest in the dead to a childhood incident in which he witnessed a funeral procession for an 11-year-old girl. Moskvin alleged that the participants forced him to kiss the dead girl's face, writing that an adult pushed my face down to the waxy forehead of the girl in an embroidered cap, and there was nothing I could do but kiss her as ordered. He was a good student and liked to play chess, but he struggled to connect with other kids his age. After graduating from the philological faculty of Moscow State University, Moskvin became well known in academic circles. His main areas of academic interests were Celtic history and folklore, as well as languages and linguistics. Moskvin had a deep interest in cemeteries, burial rituals, death, and the occult. He kept a personal library of over 60,000 books and documents, as well as a large doll collection. Fellow academics described Moskvin as both a genius and an eccentric. As an adult, Moskvin led a secluded life. He never married or dated, preferring to live with his parents. He abstained from drinking alcohol and smoking and is purportedly a virgin. In 2016, it was reported that Moskvin planned to marry a 25-year-old native of his hometown who attended his trial. In 2009, locals began to discover the graves of their loved ones desecrated, sometimes completely dug up. Russian Interior Ministry spokesman General Valery Gribakin told CNN that initially, our leading theory was that it was done by some extremist organizations. We decided to beef up our police units and set up groups composed of our most experienced detectives who specialize in extremist crimes. But for nearly 2 years, the Interior Ministry's leads went nowhere. Graves continued to be desecrated and no one knew why. Then, a break in the investigation came following a terrorist attack at Domodedovo Airport in Moscow in 2011. Shortly afterward, authorities heard reports of Muslim graves being desecrated in Nizhny Novgorod. Investigators were led to a cemetery where someone was painting over the pictures of dead Muslims but not damaging anything else. This was where Anatoly Moskvin was finally caught. 8 police officers went to his apartment after they apprehended him at the graves of the Muslims to gather evidence. What they found there shocked them all and shook the world. The creepy dolls of Anatoly Moskvin. Inside, authorities found life-sized, doll-like figures throughout the apartment. The figures resembled antique dolls. They wore fine and varied clothing. Some wore knee-high boots, others had makeup on over faces Moskvin had covered in fabric. He had also hidden their hands in fabric. Except these were not dolls, they were the mummified corpses of human girls. When police moved one of the bodies, it played music, as if on cue. Inside the chests of many of the dolls, Moskvin had embedded music boxes. There were also photographs and plaques taken off of the gravestones, doll-making manuals, and maps of local cemeteries strewn about the apartment. Police even discovered that the clothes worn by the mummified corpses were the clothes in which they were buried. Investigators later found music boxes or toys inside the bodies of the dead girls so that they could produce sounds when Moskvin touched them. There were also personal belongings and clothing inside some of the mummies. One mummy had a piece of her own gravestone with her name scrawled on it inside her body. Another one contained a hospital tag with the date and the cause of the girl's death. A dried human heart was found inside a third body. Anatoly Moskvin admitted that he would stuff the decayed corpses with rags. Then he would wrap nylon tights around their faces or fashion doll faces onto them. He would also insert buttons or toy eyes into the girls' eye sockets so that they could watch cartoons with him. The historian said that he mostly loved his girls, though there were a few dolls in his garage that he claimed to have grown to dislike. He said he dug up graves of girls because he was lonely. He said he was single and his biggest dream was to have children. Russian adoption agencies wouldn't let Moskvin adopt a child because he didn't make enough money. Perhaps that was for the best, judging by the condition of his pack-rat apartment and psychotic obsessions with dead people. Moskvin added that he had done what he did because he was waiting for science to find a way to bring the dead back to life. In the meantime, he used a simple solution of salt and baking soda to preserve the girls. He celebrated the birthdays of his dolls as if they were his own children. Anatoly Moskvin's parents claimed to know nothing of the true origin of Moskvin's dolls. Elvira, the professor's then 76-year-old mom, said, "We saw these dolls, but we did not suspect there were dead bodies inside. We thought it was his hobby to make such big dolls and did not see anything wrong with it." Shoes in Moskvin's apartment matched footprints found near desecrated graves, and police knew without a doubt that they had their grave robber. In court, Moskvin confessed to 44 counts of abusing graves and dead bodies. He said to the victims' parents, "You abandoned your girls. I brought them home and warmed them up." Anatoly Moskvin was diagnosed with schizophrenia and sentenced to time in a psychiatric ward following his sentencing. Though as of September 2018, he was faced with the opportunity to continue psychiatric treatment in his home. The victims' families think otherwise. Natalia Chartamova, the mother of Moskvin's first victim, believes Moskvin should stay locked up for the rest of his life. "I still find it hard to grasp the scale of his sickening work, but for 9 years he was living with my mummified daughter in his bedroom," Chartamova continued. "I had her for 10 years, he had her for 9. When asked about his actions, Moskvin claimed that he was trying to bring the girls back to life. He believed that he could use his knowledge of the occult to revive their spirits and bring them back to their families. And there you have it, folks, the story of Anatoly Moskvin. A man whose obsession with death and the occult led him down a dark path. A man who believed that he could bring the dead back to life. What do you make of his story? Share your opinions in comments. Was he a madman or a genius? We may never know for sure. But one thing is certain. The case of Anatoly Moskvin will continue to mystify and intrigue us for years to come. Thank you for watching my channel and joining me every week for new and exciting stories. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to stay updated on future tales.